Hello, my name is Brittany D. I am a psychic medium and spiritual teacher. My divine purpose is to assist in the expansion of the collective consciousness and to help you become more connected with the divine. This is a space to remember all that you truly are and ignite the possibilities of your highest potential. Hello. And thank you for dropping in and being present with me in this current now moment. The juicy present moment, guys. It's so good. All right. In this episode today, we're going to talk about self-sabotage. Self-sabotage. I just realized I was doing this and man, it was uncomfortable. And it's not that I've never done it before, but I was like, hot damn, like what is going on right now? I was not catching it. It was not, like total blind spot. And so I wanted to talk about self-sabotage because I've experienced this many times in my life. And I'm like, wow, this is a really important subject matter in the earth experience. We need to talk about sabotaging ourselves. Like, this is relevant as fuck. So what is self-sabotage? What is it? It's whenever you're not quite reaching your goals or not quite going after what you really want or finding yourself putting things off or avoiding. The most common is like procrastination, overeating, making up excuses, or checking out, like numbing out with drugs, alcohol, or even social media or TV. And so what we feel inside is how things manifest externally, right? So this internal world and the external world. And so naturally, just as the natural rhythm of our human beingness, we need things to be congruent. We need things to be in alignment, the inside and the external, inside, outside. And so if we see what's happening on the outside is not actually congruent with what's happening on the inside, not actually how we feel about ourselves on the inside, then we will subconsciously bring them into alignment, aka sabotage it. So if we believe that we are not deserving of this on the inside and then we receive it, then we will literally destroy it. So that way we're not receiving it anymore because we don't believe that we're worthy of receiving it. So this can happen in relationships. This can happen in your business. It's to match the inside feeling with what's happening externally. It's to keep things in alignment, but we do it subconsciously. And so this comes from your core beliefs. If you're someone who doesn't believe that you're worthy of being successful or you're worthy of being loved or strong or powerful or whatever it may be, regardless of how ambitious you are, how much you go after life and really want these things, if you subconsciously don't believe that you're worthy of them, then you will come up with excuses. You'll end up giving up. You won't take the leap of faith, blah, 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 because it's coming from your subconscious. So you just do things to ruin it. It's matching the inside and the outside. So there's all different ways that you can do this. There is, what a lot of people call the glass ceiling. So the glass ceiling is whenever you only allow yourself so much. There's like this invisible glass ceiling above you that whenever you're receiving this, and this, as soon as it hits a certain point, you're like, oh, I can't go above that. It's like you've given yourself some kind of line that you can't succeed past that. You can't have that much abundance, or you can't have whatever it may be, that much love, or whatever it may be. You can't go above a certain threshold. It's just this subconscious threshold that you've given yourself, that this is where I tap out. And so that line, when things in life start to go above that line, you sabotage them to bring it back down into your little box that you stay in that keeps you feeling safe. And so another way that we self-sabotage is vulnerability avoidance. So this is not taking the risks, not taking the leap of faith, not making the investment, not doing what you know is going to change and shift your life deep down, because you know that you're not going to be fully in control if you take that risk. It leaves you vulnerable. If let's say, for example, whenever I made one of the biggest investments in my business, and it was around $4,000, and that was it left me in a very vulnerable spot. If I didn't work with this mentor and work through this course, properly or whatever, if I didn't get what I invested out of it, then I was left vulnerable and raw and could have failed. It leaves you in this vulnerable place whenever you take risks. But it also, whenever you do take that risk, and it does end up being successful because it's an investment. So you get things out of it as long as you don't sabotage yourself the whole way through it. And then you, end up, being super successful, and it works out for you. Usually almost every leap of faith, at least that I have ever experienced, I can say every leap of faith that I have ever experienced has served me massively. But it makes us vulnerable when we take those risks. So we want to avoid the vulnerability. That's another huge self-sabotaging. There's imposter syndrome. Oh my gosh. If you guys were with me, back, I think it was in December, I had never experienced imposter syndrome in my entire life. Never once. I didn't even know that it was a thing. And I hit my first 5K month, and I was so excited about it on the outside, but inside, my inner child that did not feel worthy of that amount of money in that period of time was screaming out and feeling, literally, I felt like a fraud. I kept talking to myself as if I was a fraud, and as if just a matter of time they're going to find out. And so imposter syndrome, could be a whole podcast in itself. I wrote multiple posts about it, and I was talking about it for weeks while I was going through it. But it's basically when you're rising higher and you're rising higher and you're rising higher and becoming more successful, and then it's not congruent with how you actually feel inside. You don't really feel worthy of that. And so then you end up feeling like a fraud, and everyone's going to find you out that you're not actually worthy of that. So that's another self-sabotaging thing that we do. And then there's also the protecting your ego, the fear of failure. So you protect your ego by not actually putting your all into it, not actually being fully present with it, not actually going all in, because then if you fail, then you can say, oh, well, I didn't really like do that completely. Like I was kind of doing it, but that's really why I failed, is because I didn't go full force in. And so this is what I recognized myself doing here recently. I am in the middle. I'm coming right to the end. The 22nd is the last day of my sale for the abundance code. And I'm in my launch, and I'm just being transparent, guys, because I know that it helps. And I'm not getting anyone signing up, and I'm getting people messaging me, and I'm getting blah, 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 but there's no one that's actually feeling called to this, enough to commit. And I'm like, what is going on right now? And then as time was going on, I noticed myself, I started avoiding posting, talking about it, getting online, interacting, answering. People would reach out to me about it, and I would avoid answering them because I was so scared of failure. I was scared of having a quote unquote failed launch. And I wasn't doing things I haven't mentioned it on my podcast once. Now that I'm out of the self-sabotage bubble, haze, I'm why have I not been talking about this on all of my platforms? Why have I not been this is a program that really helps and changes and shifts people's entire realities. When you master money, when you become financially free, your entire reality shifts. Literally for the rest of your life. And so this is super helpful. Why am I not trying to help people? It was all about protecting my ego. I didn't want to be a failure. So that way at the end of the launch, if nobody signed up, I could easily just say, oh, well, I didn't really participate in that launch. I didn't really post that much. I didn't really talk about it that much. That's really why there wasn't anybody that signed up. It's crazy what we do to ourselves, what we say to ourselves, all because inside we don't feel worthy of it. And so I actually had a huge healing yesterday and today. I went through like a lot of forgiveness. There was a lot of resentment that I was actually being held around a mother wound, and mother wounds are very related to money. So when I was talking about the abundance code, this mother wound came up. And so, and you're forever becoming more and more and more abundant. The abundance code is for someone that is just breaking through into abundance, someone that's in scarcity and lack, and it wants to move into abundance and freedom. But even once you get into abundance and freedom, just like any healing, like the work is never done. there's always going to be new things. So anyways, this mother wound came up, and it was, and it was related, mother wounds are always related to money, and you'll learn about that in the abundance code. And there was this resentment and this forgiveness that needed to happen. And I kid you not, guys, I literally moved through that last night and today. And then I finally I spoke to my people on my story, and I was like, guys, I don't know why I haven't been telling you guys what's actually in the abundance code. Like, I haven't been giving you details. I've been sabotaging myself. And so here I am. I'm here. I'm present. I know there's only a few days left to the sale, but I'm going to be so present for these few days. And in between that and all of the crying and the releasing and what I needed to address internally in order to feel worthy, I literally manifested like $1,300 in one day today. And that just shows how much it's such an energy. Your abundance is so energy related. And I was literally self-sabotaging my business and my income because I didn't feel worthy of receiving. There was so much resentment, and there was forgiveness that needed to happen. And so I was protecting my ego because I didn't want to fail. Inside, I felt like a failure. So I was creating that and literally ripping my reality apart to make that true, because that's how I felt on the inside. And so now I am fully present and ready. That is number one, which is great. Thank you so much for this beautiful gift through this launch. And two, you guys are about to see, Spirit is about to make it rain in my life so big, because whenever you stop sabotaging yourself, whenever you actually break through and do that inner healing, so that way those core beliefs can be that, or that one core belief, whatever it is, can be removed. It opens up for newness. It opens up for something else to come in and pour in that is that's not that old belief. It's a new belief of how worthy you are and how great you are and how you do deserve all these things, and you don't have to sabotage them. There is no glass ceiling, and you can be vulnerable and take risks and take leaps, and you're not a fraud. You genuinely are rising higher, and you deserve it all. And you don't have to protect your ego from failure, because failure is just a part of life. It's okay if you do fail at something. And so I just wanted to share about one self-sabotage and bring that into our awareness and to my experience with it and what I've been walking through, because I love sharing my journey with you guys. Oh my gosh, I just looked over at the recording and it was 1313. Wow, that was super awesome. So yes, be aware of self-sabotage. If you find yourself putting things off or avoiding, it might be because you're self-sabotaging. If you find yourself rising higher and then all of a sudden you stop yourself for some reason, just look into it. It's something to be mindful of. It's something to be aware of. And obviously, I'm here and present now and ready to talk about the abundance code. So if you're interested on healing and moving through your money trauma, so that way you can live an abundant life and in financial freedom, feel free to send me a message or send me an email. I'm going to drop the link for that in the show notes. Thank you guys so much for being present here with me. I love you guys so much. Don't sabotage yourself. You're worthy of it all. I love you. Have a beautiful rest of your day, and I will see you next week. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you enjoyed that episode. Please subscribe, leave a review, and if this was impactful for you at all, please share it with others. This is how we can help each other.
Much love and namaste.